It's a pleasure to have Miranda Devine with us of the New York Post, and bigger than that, too. Miranda Devine, you have done some of the leading investigation and writing about Tony Blinken's background, his parents, their association with Soros, how he's used his office to advance sort of a personal family Soros agenda. Can you, I know we don't have a lot of time, but can we start this discussion and tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, sure, Mark. Thanks for having me on. I think Antony Blinken is a very curious character. He's hardly American. I mean, he is American, but he went to school in Paris. He's really a Europhile. And in Paris, he met with his childhood friend, a man called Robert Malley, who he then brought in to the Obama administration first as the sort of anti-Israel Iran envoy. Robert Malley himself, of Arabic background. And then when Donald Trump took office, he abandoned, threw away the nuclear deal, which was a bad deal for America. And by the time he left office, Donald Trump, Iran was broke. Of course, then Joe Biden comes in, he reanimates this ill-fated deal, this Iran nuclear deal, and Antony Blinken, his Secretary of State, brings in his old childhood friend again, Rob Malley, to be the Iran envoy. And lo and behold, last year, very quietly, this enormous scandal broke, which was that Robert Malley is still under investigation by the FBI for mishandling, is a nice way of putting it, classified information. Allegedly, some classified information on his phone found its way into enemy hands. Mm-hmm. And yet this man is just suspended with pay, and I think he got a gig at Princeton University. So this is the kind of people that the Biden administration and their friends at the universities give succor to.
Now, Antony Blinken himself, his parents set up a foundation, as I understand it, in Hungary. The chairman was Soros, who funded this foundation. Are you aware of that?
Yeah. I think this was his father and his stepmother. His parents split, or it may have been his mother and his stepfather. I'm very close, Hungarian, very close with George Soros. This goes back to Antony Blinken's childhood. And so those family ties are very deep.
And you've pointed out that he actually went after a former party leader in Hungary who went crossways with Soros, who's also, I guess, from Hungary, right?
You're talking about Viktor Orban?
Yes. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Viktor Orban in Hungary is a very strong leader, a Trumpian character, and in fact an ally of Donald Trump. He has been vilified by the State Department headed by Antony Blinken because he's refused to go along with these kind of globalist ideas that you're supposed to open your borders to all kinds of unvetted illegal migrants. And Viktor Orban refused to do that. He built a wall and made sure that there were no illegal migrants coming across. So Hungary alone in that part of the world does not have the kind of problems that are plaguing Sweden now with rapes and crime. And, I think Sweden is the second most dangerous country in Europe. It has car bombings, more car bombings, I think. No, second most dangerous country in the world when it comes to bombings after Mexico. That's what I heard the other day. It's a shocking state of affairs since Angela Merkel opened up the floodgates during the Syrian crisis to for Germany. I think it was 2 million Muslim men, military-aged men, came across the border, which is similar to what's happening here. But Viktor Orban refused to do that, and that, of course, made him the enemy. Also, what Antony Blinken did in the State Department was Hungary has retained its sort of Hungarian characteristics. It's a Christian, very socially conservative country. So what did they do? They send, as the ambassador to Hungary from the United States, they send a gay ambassador with his male husband and their adopted children. That's fine in America, but it was just seen as a snub to the Hungarians. I mean, they're civilized people. Of course, they're not going to be rude. But it was just a deliberate kind of thumbing the nose at the Hungarians for refusing to go along with the sort of rainbow agenda that the State Department is shoving down the throats of conservative societies all over the world to America's detriment. You just have to remember the rainbow flag hanging outside the U.S. Embassy in Kabul when Afghanistan fell.
You know, Miranda Devine, this guy Malley who you referred to, his father was a radical, pro-Islamist, sort of a scholar, spent a lot of time in Egypt. As you point out, Antony Blinken, his family and Antony Blinken, they were buddies. And, of course, Blinken chooses him as the envoy to Iran, as you point out. And then Malley hires 3 other individuals, one of whom, emails have since been released, was back-channeling information and communication with the foreign minister's office in Iran. And this is bigger than the Alger Hiss scandal. And yet the media acts like these things aren't even happening. Isn't this a massive scandal?
It's enormous. Honestly, Mark, it's hard to believe. Lee Smith in The Tablet wrote the definitive, broke the story, an investigative piece about Robert Malley and his little envoys that he poked into various parts of the government, including the Pentagon. A woman, I won't pronounce her name properly, but Ariana Tabatini, I think is the correct pronunciation. She's in the Pentagon in a very high position. And, you know, I would have thought since Robert Malley is under investigation that there should be some questions about the people that he installed in the administration. And that's not happening. And, you know, the other thing about Antony Blinken, which we shouldn't forget, is that he was instrumental in getting the that dishonest letter from the Dirty 51, the former CIA directors and other officials that pretended that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. He was a senior advisor for the Biden campaign. And after our first story came out in the New York Post about the laptop, he set about to do this dirty tricks campaign, and he called on Mike Morell, a former acting director of the CIA, who was hoping to be the director under Joe Biden. And he said he's testified that it was Antony Blinken's phone call to him that triggered the desire in him to get this letter written.
You know, he tries to come across as this dour, very senior sort of Ivy League intellectual who gives very thoughtful and so, but he's really a bomb thrower, isn't he? Look what he's doing with Israel. Look how he's protecting Hamas. Look how this Iran policy is to fund Iran and fund Iran surrogates while basically embargoing Israel. I mean, this is pretty sick, radical left-wing stuff, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It's very weak. I think he's a loose European-style intellectual who's been brought up all over the world and doesn't have an understanding of the reality of life and how people behave. I mean, this is the thing about Donald Trump. He cut his teeth in the cutthroat world of real estate in New York, dealing with gangsters and, you know, Chinese gangsters as well as American gangsters and, you know, unionists and so on. And so he knows how the real world works. He knows that there are sharks out there who will kill you if you're not strong. And whereas Antony Blinken grew up in this rarefied atmosphere of, you know, cocktail parties at embassies and where nothing touches you, and he's conducting America's foreign policy as if everybody's a gentleman around the world. And, you know, October 7th, he should have seen the barbarity of the attacks on Israel and understood that it's not like that. It's not a cocktail party. This world is very dangerous, and he's putting America in danger. He's certainly putting Israel in danger. And what Israel... I went to a lunch today with Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary of State, who engineered the Abraham Accords. You know, he was unequivocal about the fact that America needs to be projecting strength. It is bad for America to have Israel in this position, to have all the allies around the world say, well, how can we trust America in future? It's just a parlous situation.
I just can't imagine, Miranda Devine, 4 more years of this. The damage will be so severe. It will be so fundamental. I don't know how we would pull out of it. Do you?
Absolutely not. I mean, look at Joe Biden right now. He can't last 4 years. Whoever are the people propping him up are completely incompetent, and he makes decisions himself. I'm not letting him off the hook at all.
Right.
But he's really not the full quid. This is a difficult job. You need to be on top of your game. You can't have any cognitive deficits.
Miranda Devine, I want you to know, we got a lot of listeners. They all love you. Me too. You're fantastic. Keep it up, my friend.
Thank you so much. Lovely to talk to you, Mark.
God bless you. Miranda Devine, she is special.